Pitino was at Providence. That's the basketball I grew up with. Boeheim at Syracuse. And Rick Pitino now, who has turned St. John's around. He has the #1 incoming class coming in. Rick, it's interesting. People have grumbled about the transfer portal and the NIL. And you had a really interesting take on this, which was stop grumbling about it. You're using it to your advantage. So I want to start there. There's been a lot of changes, but you've really put your arms around all the changes, despite not being a 35-year-old. That's easy when you're 35 years old. You're an older coach. Why did you not grumble about the transfer portal and NIL and instead used it?
Well, I felt the change was here. And quitting, resigning, complaining is of no value. You have to win the day. You have to get the job done. And I just felt that, okay, we're going to use it to the best of our abilities at St. John's. So we're an urban school. We're a commuter school. We play in Madison Square Garden as our home court. How can we maximize our potential by embracing the NIL and the transfer portal? We went away from high school basketball players, although we have taken 1 or 2 a year to develop. But by and large, we've gone after older players.
Rick, I've been saying this now for a year, that college basketball is having a renaissance, that the NIL is keeping some pros in college for 1 more year, and you guys are also poaching international players who are really good, and that when I watched UConn 2 years ago, I said, okay, college basketball's back. They got 7 NBA guys. That team could compete against anybody. That's a real basketball team. Length, aggressiveness, perimeter defense. I think you have gone back into college. Do you notice it over the last year or two that there's more layers to the talent in your sport?
Definitely. We've found that why go to the G League when you can make $700,000-800,000? So many European basketball players, if they sign on with Olympiacos or Panathinaikos or somebody lower level teams, they're going to make maybe $300,000-400,000. They could go to college and make a lot more than that. So we're finding that the European players want to come here and attend college and stay away from going to the pros.
So you have an intricate knowledge of high school, AAU, college, pro basketball. Give me 2 traits about Cooper Flagg that you say to yourself, those are pro traits that will work immediately.
Well, he's physically ready. He's extremely athletic. He shoots the basketball. He's a tough young man. And he's maybe one of like 3 players that are ready to have an impact right away for the Dallas Mavericks. He's got a good inside game, good outside game. He drives with force, knows how to play the game. He actually is young. He skipped a year of high school. So he's ready for the NBA, and I think he'll be an impact basketball player right away.
So you faced VJ Edgecombe from Baylor. Okay, what did you see that you like as a pro, and is there anything he needs to work on as a pro?
VJ is a tremendous athlete, fast. He plays way above the rim. He's lightning quick in the open court. He's got an average to good jump shot. He needs a lot of work on his jump shot. But that being said, most guys, when they go to the NBA, from being declared non-shooters, become great shooters by the time they're in their 2nd, 3rd year in the NBA.
Yeah, it is funny. I don't remember Ray Allen being that good of a shooter in college. In fact, I remember him being athletic, and 5 years later, he's an unbelievable shooter. So I don't know. I think you're right on that. So when I look at Dylan Harper, I see a guy that's in the 4th inning of a 9-inning game. Like, he's got a long way to go. Again, I'll ask you, if many suspect he's the number 2 pick, do you think he is worthy of a number 2 pick? What do you see, Rick?
I do, because he understands the game. There are very few players out there that totally get the game and how it should be played. Dylan Harper is someone that understands the game. He has great pace, great tempo, gets his shot off in traffic, but really understands how to make players better. There aren't too many guys in the draft that make players better. He's one of those. You know,
it's funny about the NBA, where I think it's an advantage in the NBA. People have always said, oh, you want to be in a big market. And my take is no. If you're in a big market, Tibbs happens, that the owner's like, we got to win now. But in OKC, Sam Presti's doing a rebuild. It's the only game in town. They're patient. I mean, San Antonio won 34 games last year. They haven't won more than that in 6 years. Everybody's all in on the youth movement. Nobody has a problem. When you look, you went to Boston, which is the most pressurized East Coast market. When you look at the NBA right now, do you like where it's at as a sport? Do you think they're doing a good enough job taking your college players and developing them? Or do you think sometimes it's a rush job?
The mistake I think people are making is they're too much into young players. For instance, Walter Clayton Jr.
Yeah.
Walter Clayton, who I recruited at Iona, he won 2 high school championships back-to-back. Comes with us, wins a MAC championships. He's the MVP of the league. Then he goes to Florida as a transfer, elevates his game, wins a national championship. Right away, very similar to, I look at him like a smaller version of Murray from Denver. Walter Clayton Jr., because he's a little older, he should, if I'm a coach, I want a Walter Clayton Jr. because I know he's a knockdown shooter. I know he makes free throws. He's an unbelievable foul shooter. He knows how to pass. He has good verticality. He does everything I want as far as a winner. But they say, well, he's a little older, so we'll draft the younger players. It's almost like it's an excuse for the general managers and the scouts to draft a really, really young player. So if he doesn't make it, they'll just say, well, he's young. It's a built-in excuse.
Yeah. You know, we were just talking about Sean Payton earlier and all the roadblocks he was able to overcome in Denver. And I said, yeah, Sean can be a little overconfident and he's direct. I said, but get over that. People are either good. So is your orthopedic surgeon. People are competent or they're not. I don't have to love my pilot. Can you get me through a lightning storm? And my takeaway is you have been able there. And I'm not even going to tell you who told me this. I'll just say, I talked to 2 coaches who I respect, and they said, here's what Pitino does. And one of them was, man, their practices, Rick's going to work you. Those are tough practices. If you were scouting Rick Pitino, and don't be humble here, what do you think, Rick? What is your belief? What are the 2 things that have made you capable of, I thought St. John's, they've been trying for 20 years to turn it around. What is your secret sauce? A couple of tenets from that.
Well, we have player development sessions every morning, Monday through Friday, where we go 3 to 4 different sessions with 4 players. And we try to take players like a Donovan Mitchell, a Terry Rozier, who maybe is not ranked top 20, 25 in high school. They've got a little bit of a weakness. Donovan Mitchell had a weakness with the arc on his jump shot. Everybody's got a weakness coming out that's not top 10. So we try to take those player development sessions and make the players better. Our practices, yes, are very difficult, but I will say this. They're not long. We don't go more than 2 hours, but we go hard for 2 hours. We're up and down for 2 hours. If I make a comment, a correction, it's going to be within 12 seconds, and then we're moving on because conditioning is a gigantic part of our style of play.
Yeah, no, I heard that at Louisville as well. So I got to ask you about Caitlyn Clark. So I've always tried to defend general managers in the NBA and the NFL. It's not an exact science. A kid becomes a pro. Now he gets money. You don't know how he's going to react. He may miss home if he played at Alabama. Now he's playing in Seattle. You just don't know. I've got kids. You just don't know. Gino Auriemma said, hey, Caitlyn will be fine, but give me a break. She won't be that good. Well, Gino knows basketball pretty well, and he undervalued her. When you watch Caitlyn Clark, what do you see that you go, wow, that is special? I mean, she can shoot, obviously. What else?
Well, she's a great passer. She reminds me of Steph Curry when Steph Curry came into the league. She's doing what Steph did early on. She has unbelievable range. She has great vision. She's a terrific passer. You know, she's physically a little weak, but she'll get stronger as time goes on. But she really understands how to play, and she reminds me of the female version of Steph Curry. Incredible range.
Yeah, she really does. I want to go back to the NIL. Here's my only knock on the NIL. Transfer portal, I think sometimes it's the wild, wild west. I don't think, my take is you should not be able to transfer. Once you go to a school, 18 months you can't transfer. Everybody always says, well, the coaches leave. No, they don't. No, coaches aren't leaving in the middle of coaches aren't leaving that much. The bottom line is most of you guys never want to leave. The athletic director asks you to leave. So, and also managers my bosses have things at Fox that I don't get. They should. They're responsible for Fox. I'm just responsible for my show. So I do think coaches are different than players. But here's what I don't like about the NIL is that, I'm not going to fight through it. Louisville wants me. They'll pay me more. I look at Michael Jordan's career, and it's really steeped in failure early, which makes him great. The NIL worries me that we're taking away the hurdling and the bulldozing of obstacles, that it's just easier to go make twice the money. Because let's face it, if you play at Syracuse and they recruited you, you can go down a level and get more money potentially because you're a great player. That part bothers me. Does it bother you?
Yeah, I think that's the weakness of the NIL. During the year, we would meet with our general manager, and he would say to me, "Yeah, this young man is thinking of transfer." I said, "Wait a second, it's January, and the guy's killing it. He's having a great season. Why would he think about transferring?" Well, he's just not happy. He can make more money elsewhere, and that's the bad thing of the NIL. It's so many agents out there are negotiating during the year to get a player more money. And who's involved in this now? I will say this, more so than any period of my 51 years in coaching, I have never seen parents as involved in this whole thing like I'm seeing in the last 4 to 5 years. When I first started recruiting 30, 40 years ago, parents, you go in the home, you meet them, and that was the extent of after the campus visit. Parents were really in the background. Today, total opposite. The parents are on the forefront of everything. And the reason being, the money is so substantial that now agents, handlers, the parents, everybody's involved in all of this.
Yeah.
It's never a situation. I never have to go into a home anymore. They visit campus, and you should see the legions of people that come to these kids.
Yeah, let me ask you, it's interesting about this. When you look at this draft, I said this earlier, you can look at the NFL and go, that's a good draft, because they're 23-year-olds. I got 4 years of tape. I don't think we're ever going to have great drafts again. I think we're going to have great prospects in the draft, like Cooper Flagg. But how would you categorize, if you were a scout in the NBA, how would you categorize this draft? Can you have a great NBA draft anymore with all the youth?
Well, I think this draft is not as strong as others. I think this draft, certainly the players from Duke are terrific. I look at how they can contribute, not only right away, but down the road, who has great upside. And there are players here that have upside, especially the European basketball players. For some reason, France is now an untapped country. They are really developing outstanding basketball players. And it's gotten very competitive. And so you don't know about the foreign players. They come in, they may have more upside because they're not seen as much as the college kids.
Yeah. You threw out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium. If you were not a basketball coach, where is baseball in your life right now? Were you a baseball fan?
Well, I grew up, I lived in the Bronx in the summertime with my grandparents. And my two girl cousins, I was about 9, 10. We would take one subway stop to Yankee Stadium, and I would watch Man O'Maris, Kubek, Cletus Boyer, Bobby Richardson, Moose Scarrett, Whitey Ford on the mound. And so I became a huge Yankee fan from those days as a youngster. And today I bought 4 season tickets right behind the Yankee dugout. There's nothing better for me than just sitting there, having a cold beer, and watching the players at Yankee Stadium. It's really a great moment.
Yeah.
You can just sit there and relax and decompress.
Yeah. Every other sport has a certain level of urgency, and baseball is the one that doesn't have the clock. And I find myself, when you go to a baseball game, it feels different. You can have a conversation with a friend. Just make sure when Aaron Judge comes up, if he fouls one off, you're paying attention.
You know what's funny? When I first broke into business, the NBA and the NFL were like this. College football, college basketball were on equal terms. Today, the NFL and college football have just raised the bar so high that we're not even in a bad Saturday college football game will outdraw an NBA playoff game.
Yeah.
So football has just reached a level where 6 days a week, all the talk shows are just talking about the NFL. And I'm sure the gambling component has a lot to do with it,
Yes.
one game per week. No question about it. But the popularity of football today just blows me away from where it was 30 years ago.
You know, I did, you know, and I'll tell you this, and I told Adam Silver this. I think the NBA marginalized college basketball. The NFL's always understood its best friend, its ally is college football. It microwaves the stars. And I think, and I've told Adam this, and I love Adam, but I thought it's like, we're going to do the G League. And I'm like, timeout. The coaching's better in college. The environments in college get you ready for the NBA. You go play at Kentucky. You go play at Syracuse. That's an NBA environment, a playoff environment. You don't get that in the G League. And I think they found out. I think they found out that college basketball, that March tournament, it's free advertising, and the coaching's better. So if you looked at the finals, Rick, OKC and Indy, you know what you didn't see? G Leaguers. It was actually not only college guys, it was Obi Toppins. It was TJ. It was multiple years of college basketball. I thought the NBA Finals was an advertisement for college basketball, and I loved it.
Yeah, and Adam Silver's thinking about it. I heard him talk about it, about going global, having a Euro League overseas, and I think that would be great because then you could take your young Europeans or maybe college guys that aren't ready, put them in a professional environment like the Euro League is over there, and to get them ready for the NBA. I think it's something that we're looking at down the road.
Rick, what a real pleasure for us. You've got a mind that is rarely rivaled in your sport, international, domestic, NBA, and I just appreciate you taking 20 minutes. You're a busy guy. Good luck to St. John's. I said it last year. I don't care who gets in. I want Cooper, Flagg, Tom Izzo, and Rick Pitino in the Final Four. Whoever else makes it, I'm good. I was fascinated by your story, and your team this year with the incoming class looks great. So congrats.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Rick Pitino, who has turned, I mean, listen, man, St. John's is a great story. They're playing at the Garden. You got a great coach. He knows the NBA. They've some of their boosters. They got a couple boosters that got money. St. John's basketball is good for college basketball. With Pitino in the Garden, it feels big.